Is there what's in the back? This GSD's funding addressing. Rearranging the furniture now. Had it all. Yeah. GSD, their asset management.
Hello.
We've already had the direction supposed to come back to us in a couple weeks.
You can go ahead and turn it off. There you go. You're my son. Oh.
Like everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should know that it's more informational thing.
Yeah, we need a place.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Does everybody have a copy of the agenda? You guys just sit up. Does everybody have a copy of the agenda? Has everybody signed it in? If not, we'll go ahead and pass the report around. And also during this time, you can go ahead and look over the minutes before we get started.
Also, for the sake of courtesy, if we put our phones on off or vibrate, you can get the cell phone etiquette out.
David, can you pass the clipboard around? Just in case there's those who can sign in.
Go to Hazard Park on Playground Street. Go to the rec center and ask for the pad meeting, and then they'll tell you where the pad meeting is at. Okay? All right, you got it.
Yeah, you I got 15 minutes after the hour. We're going to go ahead and get started. According to my watch.
Okay.
He's one of our new members as of October 1st. Ms. Monique Moncayo, Mr. Jose Aguilar, and Mr. Scott Johnson, our chairperson.
Okay.
We do not have enough members for quorum tonight, so this will be an informational meeting for our Park Advisory Board. As you can see, the main item on the agenda that we have here, the purpose of this special meeting.
Okay, so with no more hesitation to just note that this is a informational meeting. Nothing will be voted upon by the PAB this evening, so it will not be a This will just be a chance for the LA Legacy people to do a presentation on the program and a Q&A from the people of the community who are here this evening. So any further voting or other issues pertaining to the project, whether it's vote of support, for example, or other things, will be held up to the next meeting where a quorum is established. Okay?
Okay, so the purpose of the special meeting, we met last month, September
Right.
24th. And one of the items on the agenda was concerning the Legacy LA project. I was asked by the superintendent that we suspend discussion on that item until next month. So here we are next month. We've allotted, give or take, about 40 minutes for discussion on the Legacy LA project. Ms. Jenny Crusoe will come forward and the superintendent and talk about the project. What I did do during the last month's meeting, I did make it clear that the Department of Recreation and Parks is supporting the Legacy LA project in an effort to offer programs in the Hazard Armory. So Legacy LA does have the support of the city and the Department of Recreation and Parks. Jenny, whenever you're ready, make any announcements and perhaps entertain any questions.
Well, also let's establish some ground rules real quick and kind of structure how the meeting structure is going to be. I believe Mr. Mariscal, Ms. Caruso will be doing the presentation.
Okay.
And then we can save Q&A for after the presentation, so that way we have efficient use of meeting time. Go ahead.
And I will be the timekeeper so that we can stay within the 40 minutes that we've allotted. You need
I did bring my chair up. You can stay. No, let me just, I
You need the board on.
don't know if I will. I'll get to that. It's always great to have public meetings, recorded, taped, video, so hopefully all of you know, if you don't know, that many of our meetings actually get recorded, and this one actually gets camera, which is not, usual at many of our paths, although we do encourage it sometimes, and we do get it, mainly on the west side, so it's always great to see it in my region. There's only one other park that kind of does it like that, and it's Alpine sometimes, so it's great to come out. But a couple of things, I very specifically asked to come and talk to the Park Advisory Board. So the very first thing is, how many members do you actually have on the board?
We have 6 plus 2 members at this age.
And that's too bad. Trying to get the quorum issues are always a challenge. But I do, well, congratulations, right, every newest member. Because once again, our department really works with the way that the community presents things to us, the way that the community interacts with us. Any of you can see that there's a finite amount of resources that we have, and as we present any kind of project, we actually perform a program. The women's basketball league that's going on next door right now in the gym, it doesn't work without coaches and people that help us put on program. And so anytime that the department wants to make an attempt to either add or enhance any kind of our facilities or our programs, many times we look internally and we look externally. And so, there's been some confusion, maybe, with the legacy, what is considered the Legacy LA program or plan or atmosphere out there. So I wanted to come so that you can hear from me. It's not a presentation of Legacy LA and really what Legacy LA is planning to do. It is what the department is in the process of doing and interacting with an organization called Legacy LA that currently has permission to do some exploratory and some community process on behalf of the Department of Recreation and Parks. And so I wanted to make sure I clear that up, and that's kind of what I'm here for. And as we record things, and it's always good, Carlos was at the carousel opening. We opened up the Lincoln Park Carousel on Saturday. Sunday we had a big festival in Hispana, and once again, those same kind of things when we were going through the process of how to put a carousel back in Lincoln Park, And this plan, you know, maybe there's a little bit in here, I read it real quick and I didn't read it word for word, although I didn't see my name in there, I don't think. But that's okay, that's okay. Because really, we're good bureaucrats. I mean, I think we have to do things behind the scenes and make things happen. But every once in a while, I have to stand up in front of many people and actually tell you what it is we are doing on behalf of the general manager. And that's really why I'm here tonight. And so I know we've got the time. I'm down to probably 33 minutes and 42 seconds, but I'm not counting. And I don't know what we're doing with the 18 minutes of the questions from that part. But this is really not a whole presentation of just really what Legacy is doing and what we're doing. I'll just give you a kind of an overview of what the department is in the process with Legacy to do. Let you have some question and answer issues. And if necessary, you know, then you know, if I need to pick some of Jenny's brain on how to answer. But this is really the department's process of what it is we've agreed to allow, and then how we collectively, the department and Legacy, the organization, will then be doing the process and the community process over the next 6 to 18 months. Because that's really what it is. And so let's start first of all with a building or a 4.2 acre parcel of property that in 1952, or somewhere right around there, we leased to the United States military. 50 years later, as the lease comes up, we are ready to take it back. And many of you haven't heard the name Alex Mann, and know the name Alex Mann, maybe, and if not, many in this room do, was a big supporter and fighter to ensure that at the end of this lease, because he probably wasn't, and some people back in 1952, when the city was in the process of actually leasing some of our lands in the early 40s through the early 50s to the military for some of the property that throughout the city that we did allow armories to be built on, that they wanted to ensure at the end of that lease that there really had to be a very strong reason why that lease would have to be extended, or we being the citizens of Los Angeles, the community of Los Angeles, we wanted the property back because realistically, it was open space that was usable space. Now, in 2001, I became the superintendent of this region, and it was interesting because almost early on, I started having these phone calls and discussions about what was going to happen in February of 2002. I didn't have a clue. You know, mind you, I spent my entire career in this side of town. I was a director of the park back in the early 80s, mid 80s. But I didn't understand this whole hazard armory concept. And so what the regulations called for was the military to come in and just wipe out everything on the ground and put back either grass or decomposed granite in that whole area. Just completely level that whole area and just put it back to a state of ground, basically. Okay, well that was a little bit of a concern to the elected officials and some of the community members back in 2001, 2002. But then at the same time, the military, for many reasons that we won't get into here tonight, but as you know, some kind of escalation was happening in other parts of the world that we were heavily involved in. And the military wanted to keep that parcel. And they specifically asked to keep that parcel for even more than they ended up keeping it for. They actually asked for, I think, 12 years additional time. And some of you in this room might have been part of that group that helped us, in a sense, fight that. And we've said, look, you know, unless you truly have a very specific need for some stuff, we want the property back. And you know, we were fortunate enough to get the property back. You know, there's some details in there that are not exact, so you know, it's always a tough challenge of trying to be very exact in what was happening in 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005. But the issue is, we're here today on October 16, 2007, with a process of now allowing that parcel to really be utilized again in the future. And so we actually got that property back in February of 2006. I think it was February 26th. My birthday's the next day, in case anybody ever wants to keep that in mind. And so, you know, you always got a little bit of side stuff here to throw out, come on. But right away, we ran into this challenge that the utilization of the space needed to be done within 30 days to continue on with the process of some utilization in the building. And so some of you know to this day, you know, what we did is because we have the burnt building at Lincoln Park Maintenance Yard, we moved a portion of the maintenance people into the building to keep it active use, because it has to do with a building safety rule and regulation. We continue to keep active use in the building, and we, to this day, have continued with that. And over the next year or so, different kinds of discussions took place. We also, at the time, had a new elected official come into CD14. And so this department had discussions with 3 different council offices more in recent times, not even counting the prior council office under Richard Alatorre, but really, you know, from Richard Alatorre to Nick Pacheco to Antonio and now to Jose Luzar, there has always been a concern that, hey, here's a great potential asset that could become a showcase. And as those discussions took place, I was fortunate in 1999 through 2001 to be the executive director of the, what we call at the time, Exposition Park Intergenerational Community Center, call it EPIC, now we call it the Expo Center, which is the restoration of the 1932 swim stadium. And that whole complex of about 6.5 acres, and actually restored that to be what we now call the best recreation and park facility this department has. And so I was very fortunate to be part of that during that whole design, raise money, and actually go through design document, construction documents, and get it out to bid and award. And so I was able to share my experiences with the former council office and the current council office, that there's a great potential there with a building that actually was built to withstand almost a nuclear blast, meaning, you know, this is a pretty strong building that was not built like the Bridewell Armory that was built with tilt-up pieces, like a Home Depot. And so there was a different construction process. Now we're still working on those plans and checking into those plans, but by the look and the process of what's there, because of the basement system and the way the walls are, that construction was different than Bridewell Armory. And so one of the things I excitedly had said to the council office when they first got into office was that, hey, you know, we have this great opportunity with this building when we actually take it over. We're all anticipating that, you know, my plan is I'm going to put some staff in there real quick so that we actually have some bodies and keep that continuation of use of the facility for, you know, public use, because that's really the kind of term I guess they might use, while we go through a process. And how should that process be? Well, at the same time that process was going, there were discussions then taking place internally with us, internally with the council office. Remember, the former council office is now the mayor's office. So there was a lot of very strong interest in potentially making this place different than a normal recreation and park rec center building. And so to this day now, where we are is as the department has done improvements, and many of you have walked through it over the last 15 months or so, or actually we've now had this building for about 19 months. But if you haven't had a chance, but I think most of you probably have had that opportunity, you will see that we've already started doing improvements in there so that we could actually start delivering some program and product in a sense. And we're very close to that point now. So some things that in the future would need to get done, we were able, working with the council office, to utilize certain pots of dollars that became available. And these are kind of the things that come together like in a 60-day window. Hey, there's this opportunity for this $40,000 and this $60,000. And we piecemeal these things together, and that's how we did the 88 restrooms as an example. All the patching and painting inside the interior. And I think we did the exterior, because the exterior, if you remember, in 2005, 2006 was in pretty poor shape to some extent, because the military theoretically had pulled out in 2002, even though they still stayed to 2006. They did not do any additional maintenance after 2002 because they didn't know how long they were going to be here. They were on a month-to-month lease with us technically. So anyway, over the last, I would say, 6 months, there have been discussions about the creation of a nonprofit under the Community Partners group, and it was a new nonprofit form called Legacy LA. And when the discussions with the department came forward on, you know, what was the best way to approach a relationship, basically it takes the Department of Recreation and Parks, through the general manager, who's called the appointing authority, the authorization for anybody who wants to do some kind of work on our property, the discussion and the permission that authorizes someone to do something. And so over the last, or I'd say now, I'm not quite sure, but we actually issued a letter to Legacy LA in the middle of September. Jenny, is that a fair date? I mean, I don't know what it is, but around the middle of September, we actually issued a partnership letter that talked about
I need a chair.
what would you like, my money?
I don't want to sit up here. I want to-
I would be more than willing.
Do we have,
Because I haven't used it yet. Oh, there's a chair right there.
do we have quorum now with her?
Oh, there you go. So you've got one.
Is that quorum? No?
Yeah, good. And so, so from that, the concept that our department has is that working with Legacy, who has received what is called, and this is where I don't have this expertise, but a grant award, not the dollars yet, but the the intent to award dollars to do to help do a study and do a bunch of things that we'll talk about in a little bit. There's a commitment of an X amount of dollars and then a potential future commitment for another set of level of dollars based on the fact that Legacy LA over an 18-month period has said to our department that they will assist the city in a community outreach and a process that helps all of us, meaning really the Rec and Park Commission who makes the final say on the direction of the Armory building and its best use. Focusing on what our staff has said, focusing on a cultural type of program element with a lot of different things that are still, I will say, not totally defined. Because that is why we are going into this process of the partnership with Legacy to lead and work with department staff in that outreach to the community. So to this point of where we are today, we have just recently authorized that relationship to begin. Like I said, it was the middle of September. Jenny and I have met probably 2 times in the last 2 weeks to discuss what some of that process is. She will be meeting soon with Mike Scholl, who is my counterpart that handles our planning and construction and all that kind of side, what we call advanced planning, so that we would be able to get a full detail of that process so that we can link the support necessary from the Department of Recreation and Parks and the Bureau of Engineering for what Legacy will be doing in its outreach and its approach to help us be able to come up at the very end of the day with a document that we would be able to present to the Recreation and Park Commission for the delivery of services to this community in the future. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. I'm going to ask Jenny right now if I missed something or didn't quite get a technicality right, to one, not be afraid to correct me, and two, set me in my right direction. But I hope I really kind of shared what so far has happened, at least internally with us, and the way Legacy and the department and have spoken, as accurate as I could. I don't know. Did I?
I think everything is exactly correct, except that we are also obviously going to partner with the council office because they are going to help us do the outreach. And
Right.
all that.
It's the council office, the mayor's office, all the public entities that do it, but it's done on behalf, remember, it's done on behalf of the Department of Rec and Parks, because there are 5 commissioners that are appointed by the mayor that has been elected by this city, and those people, because Rec and Parks is a semi-autonomous group, for, a department based on the way that the process is in city charter, that commission has authority to make final decisions and determinations in the process that it goes forward on. And so they're very excited to see how the final outcome of what collectively all of the public agencies involved, you know, with Legacy is we do our outreach and we do our concept design, and we actually even come up with design document and maybe even construction documents to how to make great improvements that are beneficial in the long run to the use of the what we call Armory building here in Hazard Park. And so that's really where we are. You're right. I did not want to even think that anybody would think I wasn't speaking, that the other entities involved would be, all listed. So I apologize for that, but it's definitely, which is why I tried to lay the groundwork that has been going over on 4 council offices, and this one has definitely taken the lead to be of strong assistance to help us get to the point that we could be into that relationship with Legacy LA today. So that's kind of where we're at. Is there anything else you want to add, or should I just open it up for questions?
Well, I think the other thing that needs to be added is that I'm not Legacy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, why don't you explain
She can come up there and make it.
what is Legacy?
So we don't have to bend our necks. But she
Yeah,
can
no,
up there
that's,
and-
well, that's fine. Come on up here, Jim.
Yeah.
Okay, well, also Lou should come up.
Well, Lou, come on up.
Oh, Lou
I'm
is translating. Oh, translating. Lou is coming on as.
Wait, hold on. Come up here, please.
Oh, God.
Sorry about that.
Also, can we have a copy of that document?
Sure.
Like read?
I don't have it with me, but do we consider that? Oh, yeah. Make it available to the PAB and then just make it as an attachment to the minutes.
Right.
It's fine with me. Okay.
Okay, what I was trying to say is that Lou has graciously come on as the co-director of Legacy. And she'll be heading up the community outreach and a lot of the planning. And